Jennifer. Welcome, everybody, to today's UFC 145 media conference call. Today on the line, we have the gentleman headlining next Saturday's card from Phillips Arena live on pay-per-view, UFC light heavyweight champion Jon Bones Jones and former UFC light heavyweight champion Sugar Rashad Evans. Before we get to questions, just a reminder for everybody, Tough Live airs tonight on FX at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. It is followed by a brand new episode of UFC Primetime at 11 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. And one last reminder, don't forget tomorrow, UFC on Fuel pre-show from Sweden, 2 p.m. Eastern. And we go right into Alex Gustafsson versus Thiago Silva. The action starts on Fuel at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. out here on the West Coast. Jennifer, if you would, let's go ahead and take the first question.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question, please do so by pressing the star key followed by the digit 1 on your telephone keypad. If you are using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. And once again, please press star 1 to ask a question, and we'll pause for just a moment to allow everyone an opportunity to signal for questions. We'll go first to Mike Chapata with MMAfighting.com.
Hi, guys. Thanks for the time today. This is a question I'd like both of you to address. I was wondering if you can kind of talk about, obviously there's been so much lead up to this fight, so much talk about it. You guys had to talk about each other for so long. I'm wondering, has this been the most exhausting lead up to a fight for both of you?
I couldn't hear you. You were breaking it out. I didn't understand your question.
Okay, sorry. Hopefully this is better. Just wondering, since it's been such a long lead up to this fight and so much talk about the rivalry between you over the years, if you could just both answer, has this been sort of the most exhausting lead up to a fight for both of you? John, you can go first, and I'd like to also get Rashad's thoughts on the same question, please.
I didn't hear that. Your phone is breaking out really bad. It sounds like I could hear not even every other word.
Hey, Mike, can you dial back in and we'll put you right back in the queue?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're a little bit clearer now.
Okay, sorry. Again, just wondering if you can just talk about both of you. Has this been the most exhausting lead up to a fight for both of you, given, just talking about each other for so long?
I wouldn't say that it's been the most exhausting lead up to a fight. This lead up kind of reminds me of the Rampage lead up. It was smack talking, it was controversy, it was drama. Rampage accused me of spying in his camp, which was a pretty huge allegation. For the first time, I had people questioning my integrity, and that was something I kind of had to go through, and it was really important to me to. It was kind of troubling. People thinking that I would cheat. I mean, that's the biggest insult. I mean, someone calling me fake or cocky, that does nothing to me. It's like, all right, I really believe only God can judge me. But somebody calling me a cheater, that really got to me. So I wouldn't say this was the most exhausting build up to a fight. Not at all.
Okay, and what about you, Rashad?
I've been in fights like this before, but the only part, I guess, I just get tired of talking about the whole thing over and over again. I get tired of talking about John and Greg and the whole situation. I do get tired of it. I do get tired of, I guess all the press that we had to do. I'm not gonna lie about it. It's to the point where I just want to fight, And I'm like, all right, man. I talked about it long enough, and he said whatever he said. I said whatever I said. Now it's just time to fight. But everybody talking about it, and I got to do all these interviews. So that's the only part that bothers me the most about the whole thing. But I just been talking about it for over a year. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, I just want to just fight already.
Gotcha. And if you guys could just talk a little bit about the flip side of this as well. Obviously, everyone's talked about the negative part, but I was wondering if you guys can go back a little ways to when times were good. And
Hey, I got to figure something out to do with this interview because I couldn't hear Rashad just now. I couldn't hear the other guy just now. I can't hear the guy that's talking right now. It's like my phone keeps it cuts out every.
Hey, John. This is Dave. We're going to.
Clearly.
Okay, we're going to pull you into a private conference room with Jennifer, the operator, and get you reconnected. Hey, Mike, if you could direct your question towards Rashad at this moment while we fix John's line, I'd appreciate it.
Sure thing. Rashad, yeah, I wondering if you can kind of go back to better times, happier times, and if you have, if you could share maybe what your best memory was of working with John, back when things were good.
I would say that the best memory I have of John is that we used to have a lot of fun training together and competing against each other. We would just have fun just doing stuff like, all right, let me see if I bet I can touch your knee more times. You can touch my knee, or let's see how many takedowns you can get. I bet I can get more takedowns than you, or just, we'll just have fun. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I miss most. Just the fact that we'll go in there and we'll have fun, and then even after we get done from practicing, we'll sit and chop it up a little bit, and then we'll go over different moves and different setups and all kinds of stuff.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the time.
We'll go next to Adam Martin.
Go ahead, Adam. Your line's open. We'll go to Neil Davidson. Neil, you on the line?
Yes, Dave, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My question is for both John and Rashad. Are there any things that you regret in the build-up to this fight? Any things that were said or done? Maybe start with Rashad.
No, I don't have any regrets. I felt like I've spoken from my heart, and as long as I felt like I've done that, I don't think I've violated anything in that respect. Long as that's one thing I always try. I don't want to cross the line, because there's some things you can do to cross the line, and I don't think I crossed the line by far. So I'm pretty satisfied with the way things went.
And is John back on the line, Dave?
Yeah, I'm here. No, I have no regrets.
And could I just follow up? Do you feel, there's been talk of bad blood. Do you feel that after this fight that you might be able to resume things at a slightly friendlier level?
For me, yeah, I think it's just to have respect. I'm a guy who really has no problems with anybody in the UFC. Like, not one fighter can say they really have a problem with me. Not that I know of, anyways. And so when I go to the events, I'm always laughing. I'm hugging all the guys. We're all having a good time. And I would like to be able to, be at a UFC event or a fighter summit and not feel awkward in the same room with Rashad. It would be cool to be able to be like, hey, good fight, blah blah blah, and just keep it moving. So we're adults here, and it's not like I don't know Rashad. So to be like men after the fight would be cool.
And Rashad, what were your thoughts about after the fight?
Yeah, after the fight's over, the fight's over. I don't find it to behoove me in any kind of way to carry on any grudges. It is what it is. Do I think we'll ever be best friends? No, but you know what? There's definitely going to be some respect. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Good luck to both of you.
We'll go next to Kareth Gabriel with the Philadelphia Daily News.
Thank you, and good afternoon to both of you guys. My question is more for Rashad. Rashad, in the build-up to this fight, you had to fight a myriad of other guys. At first, you had to. It was going to be Phil Davis, and then that got scratched, and then it was Tito, and then you had that success in that fight here in Philadelphia. Talk about it, because I know the whole time you always wanted to kind of get your hands on John. Having those fights, come up, did that just seem kind of like a distraction to what you really wanted to have happen?
Well, whenever you compete, you always want to get a chance to fight for the belt. That's your ultimate goal. I guess getting an opportunity promised to me is probably, a gift and a curse, because that's all everybody kept talking about, and that's all I was, thinking about at sometimes too. So I think that that title being out there, the number one contender, this is a guy who's supposed to fight for the belt. I think that became kind of the weight more than anything, and kind of just like, okay, let's just hurry up and get this over with, you know, so I can go and fight for the belt that I was supposed to fight for a long time ago.
Thanks, Rashad. Appreciate it.
We'll go next to Eduardo Martel with Univision Radio.
Yeah, first question. Hi, guys. This is for John. Johnny, you've been a champ for more than a year now. How have your life have changed since you became a champion in March of last year?
My life hasn't really changed at all, really. I got the same coaches, everybody the same teammates. Developing really, really close relationships, really close bonds with everybody in my camp and my coaching staff. To the point where it's no longer really a business. I really feel like I have family, and these people genuinely care about my well-being, and they really want to see me succeed. So to be honest with you, the only difference is more Twitter followers.
Okay, and this question is for Rashad. Rashad, how different is this title fight for you if you compare this fight with the previous you had before?
There's a lot more talk to this fight, of course, and stuff like that. But the whole backstory, I guess that's a bit of a different, issue. It's an interesting one that people follow. So it's that's probably the only difference. I gotta just the emotional, just the connection that was there beforehand.
Okay, thank you. Good luck to you, both guys.
We'll go next to Kevin Richardson with Baltimore Sun.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you, Kev.
Hello?
Go ahead, Kev. You're there.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is for John first. John, we got a chance to see a lot of you behind the scenes and working with your strategy with Jackson. Do you, once you guys got to see some of what was aired, did you guys ever regret doing that, showing some of the strategy behind the scenes like that?
What did you see behind the scenes?
One of the instances where Greg was working with you on striking, and Rashad is going to follow up with a certain jab, and you would hit him under his rib or with a kick, and you guys were working on that, and I saw, it's one of those things that...
You're talking about the prime time, getting to see a little bit of prime?
Yes.
Oh, man, no, I'm not worried about that at all. One thing about my fights, is that most of my opponents know that I have tons of technique. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big studier of footage, and I realize everybody who I fight, I figure out what they're really good at. I mean, what hand they hit harder with, what's their go-to punches, what's their go-to combinations. I figured it out with Shogun. Figuring it out with Lyoto was really tough because he had so many techniques. But one thing about myself is I really don't think my opponents could figure out what I'm going to throw. I throw so much stuff. I've been working I won't say that, but I threw a lot of stuff. So Greg said it himself. I was saying, Greg, what do you think about me training here at Jackson's? Rashad definitely has some relationships here. Greg said, listen, John, we could send Rashad footage of you sparring every day. He's not going to be able to tell which one is coming when, what side of the body, high or low. Don't even worry about it. You throw so much stuff. Half the time, I'm not sure what I'm going to throw. Whatever I find open, I'll throw. So him seeing me sparring changes nothing. He has no clue what I'm going to throw when I want to throw it.
All right. And actually, a follow-up to that for Rashad. Rashad, did you get a chance to see any of the primetime things when him and Greg were talking?
No, I didn't really pay attention, to be honest. I didn't really pay attention.
Okay. And this last question for both of you. Do you guys both see this going 5 rounds or ending quickly, or ending before 5 rounds?
I don't know, man. I'm just going to fight develop and see what happens. I'm not gonna rush anything. I'm gonna be patient with whatever technique I'm working and just see what holes I see and just try to capitalize on them. whatever happens in that time, it happens. But I'm not in no hurry.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and I stated that, one of my goals, so I'm a big believer in setting goals. One of my goals is to finish every fight in 2012. But I will train. I have trained for a 5-round fight. I've trained for a 6-round fight. So I'm in great condition, and my goal is to finish the fight.
Sounds awesome. God bless both of you guys, and have a good fight.
God bless you, too.
And as a reminder, it is star 1 for questions today, and we'll go next to Matt Bishop with the Detroit News.
Hey, question for Rashad. Rashad, is this fight for you more about the rivalry with Jon and being able to fight him, or is it more about getting the title back? Which is more important to you?
I don't know, man. I would like it's a little bit of both, to be honest. I really want to fight Jon, so I think that. I mean, it's really hard because being a champion again is something that I value as well too. So it's kind of really hard to say for me. It's kind of like a toss up.
All right, thanks.
We'll go next to Ariel Helwani with NBCSports.com.
Hey, guys. I had a question first for Jon. In the Countdown show and the Primetime show and even in the sort of back and forth leading up to this fight, a lot of attention on the answer that you gave on the Versus show when all this started last year. And I'm wondering if, in hindsight, you regret the way you worded that answer and maybe you thought you could have avoided all of this.
You're talking about the whole thing with me when I was on your show?
Yeah.
No, I don't regret it. I felt to this day that I said something that I truly meant, And what I said to you was, I said, Ariel, people still haven't shown the full interview of how highly I actually spoke about Rashad. I mean, even the Primetime show didn't show the full interview. I was saying such nice things. I was like, Rashad lost to Lyoto. He bounced back and became the Ultimate Fighter coach. Just good. He hurt his leg, but Rashad's an overcomer. Rashad hurt his leg, but he's an overcomer, and he's gonna bounce back from this. I was speaking so highly of Rashad, and the only part that made that show was this is Daniel's pro, and if I talk to Rashad, obviously that's what I have to do. But I just wish people knew the whole story, that whole interview of what I actually said about Rashad. I was really keeping my respect and loyalty to him during that interview. But for the most part, Rashad took the part of me saying that I would never want to fight him, and that struck his ego somehow, and now he's challenging me for my light heavyweight championship, and I don't regret what I said, because I said what I would have said to his face. I'm aware that when you do interviews, he's going to hear it, especially if his name was aware. So I don't regret anything, and I'm grateful for a chance to fight Rashad, man. I mean, I'm striving for greatness, and I'm training, and I really want to be great one day. And you can't be great beating kings. I mean, Rashad is undoubtedly one of the toughest light heavyweights who's ever played the game. And to beat him is going to be huge. I mean, this fighting the best is what it's all about. And that's why I'm excited. And, everybody so far I fought Rampage. Rampage said this is the best camp of my life. I hired Muscle Farm. I fought Lyoto. Lyoto hired 9 professionals to help him train for the fight. Everybody that fight, they give it the best camp they have, and that's why I'm so proud. I'm not fighting guys who say, oh, I had a bad camp or I was injured. Everybody that I fought in last year, they claim they have the best camp of their life. And that's what Greg Jackson tells me. He's like, man, you want to fight people at their best. And I hope Rashad's at his best, because that's the best way to beat somebody. So I'm happy to fight Rashad at his best. I'm happy with what I said.
And for Rashad, since it's obviously become relevant again, I'm wondering, we recently reposted the interview. I'm wondering if you did have a chance to watch it and to get a sense, maybe in context, what Jon was trying to say then.
No, Ariel, I mean, when it comes down to it, that interview was just a piece of everything that was kind of happening. Like, it just with that interview, but Jon has said stuff before, and even leading up to that fight. Every time somebody asked him about me, he was like, "Listen, Rashad's not in my thing. He's not in my mind. He's not this, not that. Rashad has absolutely nothing to do with it." I mean, it was just like he was just so dismissive, and like John already know what time it was, because when he had called me after we talked to Phil, he already knew how I took it. He already knew how I took it. So if he didn't mean it a certain way, then he wouldn't have called me with a guilty conscience, like, "No, man, this is. I'm sorry you took like that," but he already knew what time it was. So I mean, who cares about that interview? I mean, it's really about what was said before and how John really, really feels. And now I know how he really feels. John always wanted to fight me. John never wanted to be teammates and never wanted to be like brother. John came on the team to learn the way to beat me so he can fight me.
Okay, and also for Rashad, just curious, I'm sure you still have friends at Jackson's. Has this affected your friendship? You know, if someone has to spar with John or to help him out, I mean, how have you dealt with the people around John at Jackson's?
The people around John at Jackson's, I mean, they're my friends, but I wouldn't compromise their integrity by asking them anything. I wouldn't do that, because that's not how I want to win. That's not what I want to know. And I don't think that they would even say anything in the first place, but I or fabric into question. I wouldn't even want to do that to them, because I'm a friend. That's not what a friend does.
And have you learned anything from this? Meaning, now with your new team, you know, would you do things differently if you have like some young guy coming up who's in your weight class? Would you think twice about bringing him in, or do anything that you kind of wish you would have done a couple of years ago when they brought John in?
Well, I know I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put myself in a position again. I wouldn't bring myself with somebody that I knew would be a contender. You know, and like I told Greg at the time, I told Greg I don't think it'd be a good idea, but Greg did what Greg wanted to do for Greg. That's why Greg brought him on, because Greg wanted to do what he wanted to do for Greg. And that's the thing about it. Like Greg talks about, oh, you know, for the team, the team consists of I, which is Greg Jackson. And that's what the team consists of. It's about Greg Jackson getting the Coach of the Year awards. That's pretty much what it consists of. So, you know, I would never put myself in that position again.
Okay, just two other quick ones, if I may.
To Greg Jackson's defense, Greg Jackson, you know, Rashad Evans is telling the truth when he says that, you know, Greg Jackson is not always around the gym. That's totally true. Greg Jackson, he's a man who works extremely hard. He has so many fighters. I mean, I'm surprised he doesn't get sick every day. One day he's in Russia, and then he's in Brazil, and then he's in South America. You know, he's everywhere, because what he does do, and I think people are looking past, he caters to each and every fighter. There's so many guys that he traveled for that's not in the UFC. You know, like there's this guy named Rustam. He just got back from Russia to corner a guy. Well, nobody knows his name. Greg Jackson is a good man, in my opinion, and he's there for his whole team. And so, yeah, he can't be literally at the gym every day, because if he was at the gym every day, he wouldn't be able to be in my corner for my fight. So to Greg Jackson's defense, yeah, he's not going to be able to cater like he used to when he only had, you know, 8 elite fighters. He has a whole stable of fighters now. People are honored to go and train with Greg Jackson, and he has to cater to each person. So, I mean,
John, what does that have to do with anything that we're talking about, though? That's nothing to do with what we're talking about.
A gym like Jackson's is not a place for the selfish.
It's not. The gym like Jackson's not a place for the selfish. What are you talking about? Are you talking about bringing somebody else into the weight class? He has nothing to do with. He wasn't talking nothing about Greg Jackson and the fighters that he corner and shit like that. He wasn't talking about that, bro. If you're gonna jump in the conversation, you got to keep up, man.
Next question, please.
Okay, I just had two other quick ones, if I may. Rashad, have you brought in anyone to specific that wasn't part of the team to sort of help emulate John's unique style?
No, there's no sense. John has a unique style. It makes no sense to bring in somebody special that emulates John's unique style. John is one of a kind, you know. There's no sense in trying to get used to somebody else that does something sort of like John when John does his own thing.
Oh, thanks, Rashad.
And last one for John. Can you just clear up in words the tweet you sent out about the UFC sponsoring you. That sounds like a unique thing. What exactly is going on there?
Well, for this fight, I have a goal. I've had a goal of being sponsored by Nike for many, many years, and a part of our strategy to try to make that happen one day is to not be a billboard and not just be sponsored by Tap Out one week and Affliction one week and then Muscle Farm next week and then all these random companies. If you realize, I try to look for relationships with companies, long-lasting relationships with companies. And so a part of, my brand is to keep it clean. Less is more, in my opinion. So when Form Athletics went down, pretty much every company in the business was looking for an opportunity to work with me. And I was really honored to have, to be such a, whatever you want to call it, to be wanted like that. I thought it was really awesome. It was a real honor. But we came up with a strategy to keep it clean and be sponsored by the UFC itself. And I'm glad the UFC wanted to work with me as well. And I think they trust that I'll never make them look bad. You'll never have to worry about me in a DWI or doing something crazy. I think I'm a good company guy. The UFC asks me to do anything, and I always do it. I never tell them no for anything. I think I do more marketing than any other fighter because I say no to absolutely nothing. I don't think most champs are like that. So I think they realize I'm a company guy, and they decided to sponsor me. And and they put in the deal that if any mainstream companies come after this win, that they will let me go. And I think that's awesome.
We'll go next to Eric Columbia with WICZ Fox 40.
Hey guys, first question is for John. John, we've seen you be like the fun-loving guy all the time, and not that you're not that guy now, but it seems like we've seen like a little bit more of a serious tone with you, especially in some interviews. Has your demeanor changed at all heading into this fight to a more serious tone, do you think?
No, I don't think my demeanor's changed too much. Sometimes it causes me to get a little more serious because there's some pretty serious allegations being thrown around about my head coach. But for the most part, I'm still the same me, man. Having fun, chilling with my team, having fun with my brother, working hard. When you work hard, man, there's no need to be so serious for everything. Like, if you realize my opponent's voice and his tone, I mean, he's really, really caught up in the whole drama outside of just focusing on the fact that it's a game that we play. So I feel good, man. I feel good. I know I'm getting ready to win a fight, and there's no need to be sad or stressed out about anything.
All right, and with you guys, both you guys being New Yorkers, and you guys have gone to Albany and trying to get the state to bring in the UFC. How much better could this fight have been if it was in New York?
I mean, I think it'd be great to have this fight in New York State. This fight, it has been referred to on several occasions as the Ali versus Frazier of our sport and of our time. I think that this fight would sell out in Madison Square Garden the first day that tickets went on sale. And that's amazing. I think it'd sell out the Yankee Stadium. It would sell out anything. There's a lot of people that want to watch this fight, especially in New York State. And unfortunately, a lot of people can't really afford to travel right now with this economy. So I just think, it's sad because, our politicians, our New York State politicians, are making its own people suffer the most. We're suffering as far as the economy, and our people are suffering by not watching two of the top fighters in the world who's right from New York, in New York. So I think they'll come around sooner or later. The demand is so great, and, it being in New York State is inevitable, so it's all a matter of time.
And Rashad, your thoughts on maybe this fight, if it could have been a little bit better if it was in New York?
I share John's sentiments on everything you just said.
One last question to John. Where's Chandler going in the draft?
I'll let Arthur answer that question.
Baltimore, baby. Yeah, hopefully, Baltimore gets them, but you never know with this draft. There's a lot, 32 teams, and it only takes one team to like you. So we just hope for the best for him, and we're excited. Two victories, days coming up, and our family is excited.
All right, thanks, Jon, and see you in Atlanta, Jon.
All right, thank you.
As a reminder, it is star one for questions, and we'll go to Dave Diebert with Post Media News.
Hey, guys. Thanks for the time. Quick one for Rashad. You touched earlier how the last couple fights, maybe, I guess the eye was always eventually getting Jon or the title shot. But after being off for over a year, how nice is it just to be back, period, on a regular fighting schedule?
It feels good, to be able to fight consistently is something that I really need and I really like because, sitting around and just doing other stuff besides fighting is probably one of the hardest things to do as a fighter that's still in the prime when able to fight because you just do nothing but think about fighting, and that sometimes you watch your teammates go and your friends fight, and the next thing you know, you're sitting around thinking like, dang, am I still a fighter? Like, I haven't fought in so while, and you kind of miss it. Fighting for me is therapeutic, and I kind of need it. So when I don't have it, I feel like a piece of me is missing.
Just to expand a little bit on something you said there, a guy, I guess, in your prime as an athlete, do you is it disappointing in that sense, in that you essentially went a whole year without being able to compete when theoretically you are at your best physically, emotionally?
Am I upset that I didn't get a compete for a year? Is that what you're asking or what?
Well, yeah. I mean, just when you are theoretically at your peak as an athlete, missing out on that specific time period.
Yeah, I don't think I reached my peak yet, but I think that I'm approaching it. I'm approaching it, but I don't think I hit it yet. So I'm not too upset that I missed that much time. Only, I'm just happy that it's over. I think everything served its purpose, and the time that I had off, it definitely served its purpose in more ways than just getting healthy physically.
Okay. All right. Thanks again for the time, you guys.
We'll go to Sergio Non with USA Today.
Yeah, this is a question for Rashad. When I was talking to Jon last week, one thing he had mentioned was he felt like he didn't learn anything from you when the two of you were at Jackson's together, but he felt that you learned some stuff from him. And I'm wondering, how much did you learn from Jon during the time the two of you trained together?
I learned a little tricks here and there for the most part, but it wasn't like like the best teacher of my life. It was just working together, and I trained with a lot of guys that I learned a lot from. I try to take away something from everybody I work with. I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh man, I think I know everything because I'm Rashad Evans. I learn a lot from everybody, and I humble myself a lot and not say too much what I know. I always sometimes if I keep it quiet and just see what they know, and if they wanted me to, and I'll share. I'm not selfish. I'll share with them stuff here and there for the most part. But I always keep it quiet and just humble myself enough to learn from somebody.
All right, great. Thank you.
We'll go next to James Lindenmuth with 610 The Sports Animal.
Hi, guys. Thanks for the time. 610 The Sports Animal here in Albuquerque. Because of the history that you guys have had, and obviously both of you having trained here, this fight more than any other has caused, some dividing lines, at least with the MMA community here in Albuquerque. And this question's for Rashad. Before the fight and in between the rounds, when you look over and you see guys in the opposite corner that you trained with for so long and worked with so hard, what do you think is going to be going through your head?
I guess I kind of divorced myself from that altogether. With working with Mike Winklejohn, I haven't worked with him since the Machida fight, and with Greg Jackson, it's been pretty much the same thing. From Thiago Silva to Rampage, I trained with Greg a total of 5 times. and that was it. I was doing my camp in Denver at the time, and Greg came out. I trained with him 5 times. So having those guys against me, it's gonna be whatever. They're gonna think that they know what I'm gonna do and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter to me.
Well, best of luck to both of you guys, and no matter what the outcome, you guys both have a ton of fans out here in Albuquerque, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Damian Martin with MMAweekly.com.
Let me open up with Rashad. Rashad, let me start here because you've had some pretty fierce rivalries in your past. The Rampage thing, Tito, stuff like that. I mean, where does this rank? Just because is it more personal, or can you separate it more? I mean, how does this rank in those with those fights? I should say.
Well, I mean, it's got the whole personal edge on the whole thing. So I think that's what I think that's where this one ranks above anybody else because I felt like with the whole connection with with Greg and everything else like that, it brings a different kind of edge into it, and plus my relationship with John, so it brings that different element to it. But at the same time, it's all the same in respects when it comes to talking. Because one thing I learned about when you talk, that's that much more you got to back up. So I already know how the game works when it comes to talking.
And, there's been so much talk, I don't know if there's much left to say, but I know that a few months ago, I think it was in a timeline thing, that you and John actually had a kind of a meeting or altercation, whatever you want to call it, at a Las Vegas nightclub. I don't know how much you want to rehash it, but can you tell us what actually happened? Was it as serious as it was made out to be, or was there actually even an altercation there?
No, it was no altercation at all. It was just basically we just had a talk, and John told me how great he was, and that was about it. But that was it. No altercation, no pushing, no shoving, no nothing like that. I think John tried to get me kicked out by the bouncers or something like that. Something whack like that, but that was about it.
And John, can I get your response to that?
I don't really remember too much about it. I remember initially at a table with some fighters, and then Rashad came to the table, and it was awkward. I remember I had paid for the table, me and St. Pierre, and split the price or something. So Rashad came into the table because he's friends with George. It was really awkward, and so I tapped him, to talk to him because I wasn't gonna, do the high school thing and just try not to look at him while we were sitting at the same table. So he walked away, and then I think Rashad started off by saying something like, hey, I think you've been doing really good, or something like that. I'm honestly really impressed with how you've been doing, but just so you know, you're fighting me now, and I'm going to smash you. Something along those lines. And then the conversation changed from that point.
Stop, John, you got to stop lying right now. You got to stop.
So,
damn well I didn't start off by saying nothing like that.
Wow, Rashad, you are in your mid-30s. You're so rude, bro. Just let me talk. Stop trying to argue all the time.
I'm not arguing.
Stop interrupting.
You up here lying. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying you up here lying. That's all I'm saying.
Can you just stop interrupting me? Wow.
Okay, John.
I would think you were the 24-year-old. I would think you were the 24-year-old. Just chill out.
The next word you're going to say is a complete fabrication. Go on, John.
So, anyways, so I will admit, yes, I did tell Rashad that I was going to finish him, and that I was hoping that he would be my first career highlight knockout. And he remembers that.
And one more for John, if I could. There's part of the promotional machine. This has nothing to do with you necessarily requesting this, but we know the photo shoot was done, the Muhammad Ali kind of, the mimicking in the underwater, and then they came out the Champ is Here video, which is obviously referencing Ali. And you mentioned Ali Frazier. I just want to ask, what does that comparison mean to you? Is it does it add pressure because of how great Ali was, or do you like that people are putting you in that same vein?
It adds no pressure. I find it fun. I just find it fun, that's all. I definitely don't consider myself Muhammad Ali. I thought Muhammad Ali had many flaws in the person that he was, but at the same time, I love Muhammad Ali. I'm a huge fan of Muhammad Ali. I've watched every interview he's ever done. I've read a Muhammad Ali book. You know, I have his autographs. Signed Cassius Clay. I have his autographs signed Muhammad Ali. I'm a huge fan of Muhammad Ali. But I don't strive to be Muhammad Ali. You know, I strive to be the best Jonathan D. Jones that there ever was. You know, I want to do things better than Muhammad Ali. So I just find it fun. You know, I never came out and was like, yo, I want to be Ali and put me on the cover underwater. That was the UFC's idea. I mean, so that's the people on the outside looking at me in a positive regard, and I'm truly honored, and I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome, and what it does, you know, where most young fighters will probably get to their head and they start to think, oh, I'm the man now. Yeah, look at this cover. You know, it would deteriorate a lot of young fighters, but me, it motivates me. It empowers me to train harder and to realize that if I don't become greater than Muhammad Ali, it's my own fault. So I realize that, and it pushes me farther. That's why I train 5 times a day.
Awesome. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
We'll go next to James Bryden with Sportsnet Canada.
Hey, I got a question for both of you guys. Not looking past each other, but I was wondering what you think about tomorrow's main event, and in particular, Alexander Gustafsson. He's on a pretty good run, so I'm wondering, will you be watching the fight closely, and where do you think he stacks up in the light heavyweight division? John, start with you.
I think Alexander's looking really great. I think he's looking really great. Actually, UFC just posted one of his fights online on UFC.com, and I actually watched it. It was my first fight that I've ever watched about Alexander Gustafsson. Excuse me. And I think he's looking good. He has real good hands, and you know, he has the gift of hands. Everybody has gifts. His seem to be in his hands. So that's all I can say, really.
Rashad?
What was the question again?
Just wondering if you'll be watching tomorrow's main event closely and what you think about Alexander Gustafsson, where he stacks up in the light heavyweight division.
Oh yeah, he looks pretty tough, man. He looks tough, long, rangy, athletic. Looks like he's learning a lot. He looks like he can be a problem.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I'd now like to turn the call back over to Mr. Dave Schaller.